Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures! The other day we had from Parabellum Games their mounted Strategos for the Old Dominion for the Conquest game. And I thought, it's only fair. I haven't seen any human living mounted cavalry since the big switchover, and I'm not going to count my Spire's Centaur Avatara because they're their own weird hybrid. I wanted somebody who's actually on a mount and not fused with it. So today, we're going to take a look at the Priory Commander from the 100 Kingdoms. And I like his very ornate armor. That's what really set this model off for me. So he's dashing forward with his sword. Interesting armor on the horse. Is that an optional head? It's got like that weird faceplate on the back of his armor, which is kind of different. This is a plastic kit, if you can't tell. And that is a big horse. That is a really big horse. But, Conquest stuff is its own unique size, which can work to people's advantages and disadvantages. Not everybody's a fan. You get your mounted unit base as well as it's like a 50-ish size millimeter base. Now that's interesting. I think that's the other head and a big twisty drill spear. Aha! Check it out. So you have your choice of either the cool crowned head or the hooded robed head, and there is the option of either the sword or the spear. Options are always appreciated. And it's not like the sword is all that little either. There's our spear. I still have the guy that came in the starter set to paint. There was the solo Knight Commandant or something like that. So I'm thinking I'm going to build this one with the sword. And I gotta say, I do like the hood. It's a different look. And especially if you wanted to go the conversion route. But then again, you're going to have other Conquest stuff to convert in that case. But that would definitely be interesting. There's our other head. And if you haven't had a chance to build any of, I want to say, the modern Conquest, and by modern I mean the stuff that they've had the sprues produced over in Poland with Archon. I mean, the quality was a major step up. Not that I had a big issue with the originals, but I've heard plenty of horror stories from people that were disappointed with what they got. I thought they were okay. I didn't think they were that bad, but I know people weren't pleased. I gotta say, this stuff looks a lot better. I know some people argued that the original figures were just blown up versions. I don't feel that's the case. Could they have worked at a smaller size? Sure, but, this kind of gives Parabellum their own little area to play around in with their own proprietary sizes and rules. Can't fault them for that. So I'm going to get this guy built. I'm going to find my mounted Strategos because I was all set to paint him before this guy showed up. So I held off on getting him primed, and we'll see how everybody looks and compares in just a bit. So sit tight. Alright, we've got our Priory Commander all put together here. As you can see, I went with the out of focus hooded option and the sword. There was that lance and spiky helmet version, so if you wanted to have two of them, that is a option. And for whatever reason, there's actually two horsetails on the sprues, and as far as I can see, they're exactly the same. So I'm not sure why that is. That's just kind of weird. Could have been some sort of other extra piece on there if that wasn't a silly oversight. Maybe there is a difference. I have yet to figure it out. So you can see here, he sits pretty flush on the horse. I went ahead and grabbed one of the, I don't remember what they're called. Guys in the base game. How about that? We'll call them Guy in the base game. They they sat a lot more flush on the model. but the detail, well, okay. No, they weren't the best. My only issue with this guy on the Priory guy is just getting him lined up with the reins there. That's going to be an issue. Got to make sure that's all nice and correct. But I mean, the size looks pretty similar. I'm not seeing any huge differences there, so that's good. Obviously, these are massive in comparison to any sort of GW cavalry outside of like Varangard stuff, so I wouldn't recommend it for those uses unless you wanted to get really creative. I did have the Strategos nearby. Actually, I was waiting to finish the Priory Commander for this very reason, so I can get them both started at the same time. Similar poses between both gentlemen. Obviously, one's alive, one's not. Different style barding, but I mean, they're cool looking heroes. There's no denying that. So I think if you wanted like a cool, epic, mounted paladin or something, he's your dude. I don't think you can go wrong with this guy. I mean, he's just going to look suitably impressive, and he's going to out-dwarf everything else on the table. But he's going to look cool doing it, So take of that what you will. I mean, when the ogre doesn't even match up to the horse that the dude's riding on, this guy means business then. So, yeah, something to think about. But, Conquest models are, in general, quite large when we've got things like the Blooded, who even on foot is the same size as a GW ogre. Yeah. But overall sculpting, the ease of building, everything went together smoothly, no real issues. I would suggest take your time and let things dry. I didn't, and that got to be a bit of an issue trying to get his shoulders and the cape all aligned. I think they're okay, other than there's a little slight gap right there between the cape and the shoulder pad, but outside of me pointing that out to you, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. But overall, details are nice, sharp, easy to discern. Even for a mediocre painter like myself, I think slapping some paint on that, it's going to do it a world of justice. And hopefully I will get it all cleaned up by the time it is finished getting painted. I mean, I guess the fact that the legs aren't attached to the saddle, if you had a suitably wide-legged pose, you might be able to get some kind of other models on here. I'd be curious if anybody's brave enough to try it. That's the problem. I'm quite hesitant when it comes to taking quite expensive hero or character models and then butchering them all for the purpose of making something new and different. I know some of you out there are way more hardcore in that regard, but I am not. I value my money, and obviously it would be money well spent if you end up with a really cool, conversion, but unfortunately I'm not that good at it, so I'm going to keep mine as is. If you guys are curious about these models, as always, we're going to have that link down below. You can check out Parabellum's website. They've got all the rules, they've got the build instructions, they've got everything you need, background lore for the game of Conquest. And as we have new factions starting to get teased and voted on, there's always something new around the corner. So enjoy that. And with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.